I have had this topic on my mind for some time and wanted to share my thoughts on different combat systems. While we have a combat systems video, it only explains the basics, and I've seen people still misunderstand what combat systems to use. For example, if I want grid combat, like in D&D, should I use advanced combat? First of all, let me state that advanced combat is not D&D grid combat, and it is better not to think of it this way. It will only get you on the wrong track about how to use it. Advanced combat is standard combat on a 2D plane. So, to understand advanced combat, you need to understand standard combat. Meanwhile, simplified combat is a special version of standard combat. While some people I've seen try to avoid standard combat, it is the essential combat system, and its understanding leads to understanding the other two combat systems. Standard combat features skirmishes, which are at the core of Sword World 2.5 combat. It is a melee, a combat area, a large cloud of smoke in which characters fight and can reach any character in that area with their melee attacks and touch spells. They can also freely attack anyone without penalties with ranged attacks. Skirmishes primarily allow frontline characters to engage enemies in melee combat and impede their forward movement. Leaving a skirmish is challenging. It requires either a major action to prepare for withdrawal, with actual withdrawal occurring on the next turn and incurring a -4 evasion penalty, or a significant numerical advantage over the enemy faction. The size of a skirmish is determined by the number of participating characters, and skirmishes are present in all three combat systems. It is they who make advanced combat so much unlike the D&D grid combat you are probably familiar with. In advanced combat, characters still form skirmishes, but their positions are represented on a 2D plane as a circle or filling the whole room space. This allows for more tactical positioning and movement, while still maintaining the core concept of melee engagements upon which standard combat is built. Do understand that advanced combat is still more restricting than D&D. You can still, however, create challenging tactical battles. They just have to have skirmishes in mind. Here are a few examples. Use enemies coming from several directions. This will require PCs to split and will create several skirmishes to protect the rearguard. Another tactic is adding enemy waves, creating dynamic skirmishes. Waves typically approach from the front but can vary in direction. Use lower level monsters to maintain combat flow. For higher levels 10+, consider halving minion HP and adding more waves. Prefer melee monsters, as ranged enemies can become problematic if unreachable. I've published my homebrew PDF with more ideas for tactics that game masters can use in advanced combat. Go check them in the description below if you want to spice up your game. The choice of combat system depends on tactical difficulty, number of enemies, and character levels. For levels 1 through 6 or straightforward combat, use simplified. As tactical complexity increases or at higher levels, opt for standard or advanced combat. In my experience, the decision often hinges on the map you have in mind. If you've got a detailed 2D map, advanced combat can shine. Conversely, for a basic VTT image or a corridor fight, standard combat works well. It's simpler to run, set up, and manage. Now, you might be afraid that combat without a grid, where you have to measure the distance on the map in meters, will take too much time and will slow down the game considerably. Well, the rules outright state that measurements don't have to be precise. For one, you don't have to measure everything. You can easily eyeball it in most cases. On a VTT, it is even easier, as you can often measure distances with a press of a button. If you absolutely have to have a grid map or a hex map, you can still use one to measure distance. Characters don't have to move by squares, but squares may help you figure out how far two characters are apart at a glance. Simply use the smallest reasonable move distance as your grid size. It could be 3 meters for a limited move, half of that, or 1 meter. You can easily count squares to measure and round up when needed. Just don't get boxed in by grids too much, because advanced combat is a lot more dynamic than that. So, there you have it, folks. Whether you're battling Barbarous in a dungeon or arguing with your party about who smokes the last life grass, remember, the real treasure was the skirmishes we formed along the way. This is Lumiere, signing off. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that jazz.